Hello coders, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today we're going to be doing some load testing. I'm going to install K6 on our local version of How to Code Well, and then run some load tests on it. So we're going to hit the site a fair amount of times and measure the load. We're going to use K6. We're going to use Grafana. We're going to use InfluxDB. It's going to be fun. So let's get into it. Let's get into the code. So I have not set this up yet on this machine. So bear with me whilst I do all the things. So Docker machine start How to Code Well. So I have this working on my laptop. That is currently running. So what I'm going to do is install all the things. K6 is running, and Grafana, and InfluxDB is running through Docker containers in its own sort of in its Docker Compose sort of file. We're going to make sure it all wires up. And what I'm interested in is measuring the difference between the Mac Mini that I'm running off here and my laptop. I've done some tweaks as well. I did some tweaks last night on the PHP ini, and I would like to measure that as well. So I changed things to do with op cache and the real path cache. What else did I change? I changed a couple of other things as well. But anyway, yeah. The reason why I'm doing this is that the website is running rather slow. And last night, I was up very late last night doing this. I was running this with the MySQL slow query log running. I was tailing that. Nothing was coming in there. So I've got a feeling it's mostly front-endy stuff. But I'm trying to use K6 as a means of throwing a lot of requests to the site. Anyway, let's get this running. Enough chatting. Let's get this running. Oh, of course I'm on the wrong keyboard, aren't I? Ugh. This is what happens when you work on Windows all day, and you end up. What's the key combination? Oh, I've forgotten it. Let's just get into. There we go. Okay, and let's do a git pull. Bring that down. Sweet. So I've done a lot of changes here. So I've created my own dashboards for Grafana. I've created data sources for Grafana for Influx. I'll go through all of this, and I've created some tests for. I thought I got rid of the homepage in the terms and conditions, terms of use test. Interesting. Okay, let me just check the containers. Let's just make sure that the things that are running are the right things. So we've got Grafana. Okay, I'm going to have to restart all of these things, or start them up at least. Where am I? I'm there. Okay. So let's do a Docker. Do I have the PHP ini changes? Did I pull them through? I turned the slow query log on in MySQL. Yes, I did. I did put those through. Okay, that's cool. All right, let's do a Docker compose. Let's do it down first. So this is going to bring down the app, the database, Redis, Composer, Selenium, and the website. Okay, let's get into K6. So cd into K6, and let's do a Docker ps-a on that. That's running. Let's do a Docker compose, because I've changed this as well. Let's do a down on that to get everything down. So if I did Docker ps-a, there shouldn't be anything now. Good. All right, let's get back to bringing up the site. This will use the new PHP INI stuff. So let's do it up-D just to bring up the website. So this is running off of, I'll show you the things that I've done. So this is the Docker Compose file for the project, and then in case 6 we have the Docker Compose file for that as well. So what I've done, we are bind mounting the PHP INI file in here, and we're also bind mounting the MySQL conf stuff in there, which means that we can control in the config, in dev, in PHP, in Apache 2. Yes, I know my folder structures are terrible. So I've done some various tweaking and changing here over the last few evenings. One of which is, where are we? It was probably quicker if I just found it. Op cache. So we've enabled op cache. We are running we've turned off timestamps, which means that I'm going to have to restart the container for every file change, but that's fine. I'll probably flick that off or flick that on for dev, and then flick that off for prod. And then we're using the preload. We're running a dev version of PHP INI, which is why this is running off of dev. And I've also enabled the JIT, which is a PHP 8 goodness thing. I've also done some stuff around the real. Let me look for real path. I can't. Real. Yeah, here we go. So I've increased the real cache size, and I've adjusted the TTL on that for the real path cache TTL. I'm not using the is it open base or something like that? There is something that you can't use with the real path, but I'm not using it. So yeah, those are the tweaks. And in the MySQL stuff, I did. Oh man, where is it? It's in. See, what I want to do is just have an info folder here for infrastructure, and eventually put in Apache, and then things like Ansible and Terraform in this folder here. But we haven't got there yet. So I've got K8 in there for Kubernetes, as well as K8 here because it's different versions. Anyway, in MySQL we have slow query turned on. So we've turned that on, and we've changed the log file, and we've changed the long query time. But as I said, as I was doing this on my laptop, no queries were slow, so which is a good thing, but still the site is hitting a lot of seconds worth of stuff. It could partially be because I'm running this in dev mode and not in prod mode, and I know that there is a huge amount of benefits for that, but I just want to see if I can get this a little bit quicker, even in development. Anywho, which is probably why I should turn off the what was that op cache option? The validate timestamps. I should enable that again in dev, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's have a play then. So what we've done is we've brought up the website, so I should be able to access that. Let me just bring up a tab. Bring that over here. So we should now be able to go to howtocodewell.local, and that should be, yes, cool. And it should be in dev mode. Is that right? Is it going to go into, yes? So we got the dev toolbar here. So you can see it's 5 seconds. It's it's not a quick thing to load up. But anyway, let's move into K6. Let's get that all spin up. So let's do a Docker compose up-D to bring up K6. So that's going to load K6, Grafana, and the InfluxDB. I'll show you the stuff for those. If we go over to K6 and look onto Docker Compose here. What we have is, is that on the stream? Has that come up on the stream yet? Yeah, it has. Okay, it's just that there's a little lag. So we've got the networks here. So we've got a K6 network and a Grafana network. Grafana is the front end. It's the visual of this. I must say, this is my third day using this. So, or third evening, I should say, using this. So I'm still very fresh. So all of this work you're seeing is 3 evenings worth. Okay, so we've got an InfluxDB here. That's the image that we're using, 1.8. We've got the ports set up. InfluxDB is where the data of K6 gets stored. We're using the main Ubuntu version of Grafana. Again, that's the front end. We've adjusted some environment variables, and what I've done is I've created some permanent storage for Grafana, which is the Docker named volume here, and then we're bind mounting the dashboard and the provisioning folders. And what they do, if I go over to Grafana in here, if I click on dashboard, click on all, this is the JSON that you can download that represents the dashboards. I'll show you all of this in Grafana when it loads up, but you can configure it all like so. And then in provisioning, these are the things that happen when Grafana provisions. So if I go to data sources, for instance, we can see that when it provisions, we have a data source called K6, and that's the URL, which is the InfluxDB. So that's how to access it, and there's various other things as well. As you can see, it's not overly secure at all. I'm just running this locally at the minute. So then in the dashboards in all, you can also set some configuration for the dashboards, so where they're going to be and other things. A lot of this is just literally copied from people's examples. Okay, so then what we have is a series of tests, or actually no, just that test. So hang on a minute, I thought, did I remove that test then? The terms of, yes, I did. I didn't see that. Yes, 6 delete. Yeah. Okay. So I've just got I've just pulled in the tests. I thought that was the case, because what I was trying to do was if I can get back to the thing, I was trying to create a test file for every single page, because essentially what I want to do is hit all the pages. And measure the load testing performance for each one of those. But I learnt how to use scenarios. So a scenario is a way that you can break up your tests and define sort of areas, or not areas, define how a test can run. So you've got the executor. So that's a scenario, that's a scenario, that's a scenario, okay? So you've got the executor here, and that can be a number of different types of executors. I'm using constant VUSs. A VU is a virtual user. And then you pass in an execution, and that is a function that you can call for this particular scenario. This is the number of virtual units that are running in this scenario. That is the duration of the scenario. And then the subsequent scenarios, what I've done, this took a long time for me to work out. Okay, I was up quite late trying to sort this all out. So you have a start time, because what I initially did is I created all these scenarios and I just let them run all at once. But then what happened, you see, is that all the pages were being hit simultaneously, all at the same time. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that at all. I wanted to, because the thing is, you're bombarding the web server, and I wanted to have a clean test for every single page. So I didn't want to have hang-ups from the previous pages. So, I wanted a page to be tested on its own. So what I've done is I've created a start time here, which is 16 minutes. So the duration there is 15 minutes. So I've given it 1 minute to settle down, and then that's 16 minutes, and then this will start. Likewise, this is 31 minutes. So that's 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes. Let's give that 31 minutes. Again, they're exactly the same. So the virtual units are 10. The duration is set to 15 for each one of these. And you can see there's all of these that gets ran. And we get to 2 hours and 46. It takes about 3 hours for all of this to run. So what I was doing was running these overnight. Now, one thing I'm going to have to change, something I've just realized, is that I'm running off of the IP address here. So I will need to change this to be the IP address of the Docker machine. So I will have to discover that and change all of those. But these are the things that get executed. So what we're doing is a http.get off of this, and we are running a check to check the response code was 200. And we're also trying to mimic a user as much as possible. So we're sleeping that. So this will run, each one of these will run within their represented or reflected or represented scenario. There'll be 10 virtual users running for 15 minutes, and what will happen is that it'll hit, a virtual user will hit this or hit this, and then it'll do a random sleep from 0 to 30 seconds, and then it'll hit it again. But it will only do that for 15 minutes, and 10 of them will be doing this. Okay, so yeah, there's a little bit of math involved there to work that through. Okay, so one thing I'm going to need to do, what I'll do is I'll show you Grafana. Let's see if that runs. So we need to get into the IP. I believe it's 192. There we go. So is this Grafana? Are you showing me Grafana? Yeah, okay. So this is the dashboard. If I click on manage, there we go. So this is the dashboard that I created last night. And essentially what we have here is obviously that we haven't run it yet, so we don't have any responses. But I've created a little panel for every page that I have, and when we get the tests running, I'm so pleased this is running. When we get the tests running, you'll see a graph of how it works. Let me think. Let me get this right. Of the mean. I can actually show you this. I can access this. Yeah. So what it's doing is it's running. Yes, here we go. The request duration, where the IP address of 192.168.99.106. I am gonna have to change that. That's annoying. We're going to select the value and by the mean, and this is the time and the interval, and we are going to plot it on the graph. That's what we're going to do. But unfortunately, I need to change these IP addresses before I run this. What did I do in there? Why is that blue? What did I do? Oops. Okay, cool. I don't want to be playing around with the ini file. Right, so first things first, let's change all of the, let's do a replace of 192.168.99.106. Let's change that to 192.168.99, and I believe it's 100. Let's replace all those. So I'm going to have to do something with environment variables or something to pull in the correct IP address, or handle the DNS properly. I'm also going to need to. I'm going to have to change the dashboards, I believe. So if I go to dashboards and all, if I was to do a replace, yeah, okay, so this is how it's all configured, right? So let's replace all of those to 192.168.99.100. Boom. Okay, cool. And also what I need to do is, because that's now still saying 192.168.106, let's change. I'm going to probably need to tear this down and bring it back up again, aren't I? Yeah, let's do that. So where are we? We're in the K6 folder. So Docker compose, let's do a down. Let's bring it down. Let's do an -v to bring down the volumes as well. Brilliant stuff. Let's now, so that should be no more if we refresh the page. Yep, that can't be found. Let's now do a docker compose up -d, and let's refresh this page. Yeah, we're back into Grafana, and we should have that changed to 192.168.199.100. Sweet, which it is. Okay, so I think we're ready to rock. To be honest, I think we're ready to go. Right. So I need to remember how to do this. I created a make file with a make command to run all of this stuff, and I believe it is make K6 run. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. So this is K6IO, and what we can see here is all of the tests, all the scenarios. Sorry, so the scenario, there's 12 scenarios. It's going to take 3 hours and 30 minutes, 30 seconds. Sorry, I will not be streaming for that long. 3 hours, 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's how long it's going to take. We can see that the output is in the InfluxDB, and this is the script that it's running here. Essentially, what I ran there was docker compose run --rm because I want to remove the container once this is done. We then run K6. We run the run command of K6. For some reason, I have to supply the -u, which is the number of virtual users, as 10, even though I've specified that in the scenario. It's obviously something wrong with my understanding, because that doesn't make any sense to me, but I haven't been able to find a way yet to run it without that. I'm sure there is. I'm sure I just I haven't read the right thing. Like I said, I've done this in 3 evenings. So, and then here we've got scripts, and then test.js. That's what we're running, which is that file I've just shown you. So then what we've got below here, this is all on stream, isn't it? Yeah. What I've got below here is each of these scenarios, and what they're doing is they're counting down. They're counting down. All of them are counting down, in fact, from that start time. Now, this one here is currently running, is currently on fire. So this is using 10 virtual units, as we've specified here. There is a maximum of 20 allowed within this period of time. We can see that it's been running for nearly 2 minutes out of the 15 minutes. And then what will happen is that once the, did I say 16 minutes are up? That will run, and you can see that that's counting down as well. So essentially that minus that. So yeah, all we have to do now is wait. Now what I'll do is jump into Grafana and just see if anything is being loaded. Let me refresh here. There we go. Can you see? Boom. Now, this is a huge spike. I mean, what I've noticed is that initially what happens is that there's a massive spike because 10 things are hitting it at once. And then once it starts caching, you see it leveling out. I should also have the slow query log running. So let me just bring this up as another sort of tabbed window. Bear with me a second whilst I remember the shortcut keys for all this. There we are. Cool. So we'll get into code, all these things, and we'll do docker compose. We want to get into execc. We want to get into the DB container as bash, and I have created, I'm sure I've created the slow query log, and I reckon if I remember rightly, I've put it in var log. Oh, no. Actually, I'm not even in the thing. Why am I not? Oh, it's because I haven't evaluated the shell, have I? Silly Billy. Can we get into that container? Thank you. Right. So I think it's in cd var log mysql. There we go. if we did an ls, there we go. Let's do a tail minus f of the slow query log, and that is running it from my laptop and seeing what the output was this morning. It was completely empty. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for here, because it should be a one-to-one really. Cool. And I suppose what I would like to do is just do a sort of a rinse and repeat on these things. So sort of adjust the virtual units and change the durations and stuff. But at the moment, I am literally hammering this site on this specific page at least. We might be able to, if I was to bring this sort of here, and then maybe make this a bit bigger. Whoops. We might be able to start seeing that's probably going to jump up there now, isn't it? I was hoping to see, can I just do that? I can, and it'll move everything away. Can you see that it's all starting to filter off? So the top one is the spike, and then as things get cached, and as things get warmed up, then it starts petering out. But still, it's a huge amount of time, and that's something that I want to deal with. But it's a good way to see what page runs slowest. At the moment, it's that one. So we'll give it a bit of time, and we've got 5 minutes to go. This is the amount of virtual units running. So when it's 10 versus 20, that is, I think that means that there could be up to 20 within that duration, I think. Although that says 50, so maybe not. Am I? Oh, hang on, no. After the sleep, it then repeats. Yeah, so it's not just 10 users that I'm throwing at. Well, it is 10 users, but once that sleep is done, that user then makes the same call. Yeah, so this is going to increase. Yeah, because this morning when I looked at it, it was in its thousands. Yeah, so it's looping. So 10 looping virtual users for 15 minutes. And there is a 30-second graceful stop, which I think means that once it's done, it's going to then stop after 30 seconds. So perhaps I don't need that sleep. Meh. I was playing, it took a while for me to play with this to just sort of work out where the edges were in terms of just destroying my laptop. It started to sound like it was going to take off. You know, I put the virtual units up to 100 and then everything crashed. I'm glad it's running though. It's quite a nice tool with Grafana, and I'll show you the different things. If we did edit on here, so this is running off of a time series, but you can do things like you can have gauges if you want. So that would be the 38 seconds. Man, that's slow. That is slow. You could have different sort of statistics, and you can see, and you can change all the settings. There's quite a lot of stuff in here that you can change. Let's put it back to this though. And you can change the units on the right hand side. I've got these units running off of time in milliseconds. So does that mean that's 50 milliseconds rather than 50 seconds? That's something I got to look into. The unit is 50 milliseconds running off of. There's no decimal places, so maybe that is 50. That can't be 50 milliseconds. That must be 50 seconds, right? I'm confused. Maybe there's something I need to do in here. You can change the I think query options. Well, there's one option in here where I can change the, if I did edit, is that it? Yeah, where you can actually change the SQL. So what we're doing here is we're selecting the mean value from the HTTP request duration, where the name is here, the IP address, and the time filter grouped by time interval. I'm not sure what fill null means. It's not straight up. I mean, it's InfluxDB, so it's not a. I don't know how SQL-like it is. It's the first time I've used it. And time filter. So that would be. These would be variables coming off of the database, I suppose. How are we getting on with that? Okay, so we can see that there's a bunch of things failing. Now, this never happened on my laptop, but we got some request timeout here going on. So maybe this is 50 seconds. If it was a request timeout, though, it would be... I suppose what I could do is I could tail the logs, couldn't I? I could tail the access logs and just see how things shape up. So let's bring up another... I'm going to have to close that down. There we go. Didn't like that. Didn't like that. Get to those. Hasn't done any more. I'm going to tail the logs for the access logs. So let's do docker compose exec. Let's change that to be app and bash. And once we're in, let's do tail -f var log Apache 2 access log. Oh dear, it looks like it has it frozen? No, it hasn't frozen. This is just crying, I think. This is the problem when you do these kind of things, especially whilst you're streaming live. I can't access the access log. The terminal's frozen. Let's get out of that. Come on. Thank you. Let's do devlog. Okay, yeah, you can see, so you can see the madness that's coming through. I'm intrigued. Var log. Just going to stood out. Okay. Still nothing. I think when I do these things, I need to push the log files to somewhere else outside of the container, maybe in sort of a Docker volume somewhere, and then have another container, maybe Go Access or something that is able to read the logs better than just doing it manually. We got any more timeouts? I don't think we do. We only had the one at the end. No. But once we get to the bottom here, it's got what, a minute to go in a minute? In a minute. 54, 55, come on. Yeah, we go. Let's see what the graph's looking like now. So it's kind of leveling out around here. Now there's a few things I could probably do. Well, there's a lot of things I could do. One is to do some clever things around the Docker the composer auto load, so I can optimize that. I can do some various tweaks to Symfony itself. I think there was I was reading this on the lunch break earlier. If I can find the thing, so if we did Symfony performance, there's a nice little guide here on what to do. So use opcache class preloading, that's what I've done. Configure opcache for maximum performance, I've done that as well. Don't check PHP file timestamps, that's what I've done. This is the real path cache, so that's what's been configured. Optimize composer autoloader, so this is what I can do, but I would need to run the site. It would probably be better if I ran the site outside of dev mode, so I would probably do this at the end. And then where they talk about various different profiling tactics, I thought there was a configuration I could do in the actual Symfony framework itself. How did I skip? Aha! YAML. Here we go. So dump the service container into a single file. Symfony compiles the service container into multiple small files by default. Set the parameter to true to compile the entire container into a single file, which would improve performance when using class preloading. Ooh. Okay, and then also restrict the number of locales enabled in the application. Use the framework locales option to only generate the translation files actually used by your application. So yeah, there's a number of things that I could tweak and play with. I want to have a little look more into this, I think. This is in config services. Let's have a look at what that involves. So if we go to config services here, let's take a look at container dumper inline factories. This is in the parameters. So yeah, I could run that. What I'll do though, it's good to have like use this as like a testing sort of thing. Okay, so it's on the second one. So to ensure that you're actually doing the right thing and you're not just putting in configuration just because you're doing trial and error, that's never a good idea when you're doing these kind of things. What I was able to do is run some tests on my laptop, which showed me that the real path cache and the up cache changes that I had done were beneficial. So what I'm saying is it's not wise to just go in and throw in any kind of configuration without having any kind of tests to back that up. So what I would like to do is probably leave this running. I'll probably leave this running overnight. I'll probably make a tweak to it after dinner once it's finished in 3 hours time, and then run it again overnight. So I'll leave this running for 2 hours and 27 minutes. I'll make a change and then I'll run the whole thing again. I'll restart all the containers so they all go cold, and then run it again and then compare the results. And the best thing about this Grafana stuff is that it's a time-based thing. So this piece of graph will be over here and then will be there, and then I'll be able to compare the two. So let's just go back a minute. Yeah, here we go. We're now into the terms of use, and we can see a little bit of let's bring that out here. We can see a little bit of so 1 minute. it reached 1 minute. So these are our seconds, right? So yeah, it you can see a pattern, right? So it's really slow to begin with, right? So nobody's hit this page yet. It's been hit once. Huge hit there, and hopefully, yeah, you can just start seeing a little bit of it tailing off. So coming down, which is the same kind of effect with that. However, interestingly, that's interesting. Look. Now, I don't know whether that was me screwing about with the webs. Was I screwing about with the website? But it started cold here, and then it went down, and then it went back up again. In fact, it went way down. Was there any... Oh, this could have been the timeouts, couldn't it? That could have been the timeouts. Because we did have... Yeah, we got 2 interrupted iterations. So I am yet to know what that means. I'm guessing an iteration is the loop, right? So we're looping over once the 10 virtual users have hit the site and have slept for the amount of time they need to, then it's going to loop again within the 15-minute time frame. But for some reason, two of those were interrupted. 2 of those iterations were interrupted. Let me just scroll back up. I wish I didn't screw around with the terminal when I was doing this. So nothing has come through yet. It's just... That's how it was. Yeah, but you can start to see... What I need to do is save it every time I do that. Make a change. Yeah, so you can just... Yeah, you can see it tailing off now. Boom. Straight into there, which is... what's that? 10 seconds. Still very abysmal. That's not 10 seconds. That's 10 seconds down there. Yeah, so there's still a lot that I can do to make this quicker and faster. We are running this, I should keep saying, we are running this in dev mode. So, you know, there's a lot of things turned off for ease of development. So it's not, I'm not testing this in a production way. Not yet, anyway. And let me take a look at that slow query log. I don't think there's anything in there, but it's worth a gander. So that's going to screw up all those again. I'll tell you what, let's come out of that. Let's do it on this side. There we go. Right, let's evaluate the shell again. And let's do a docker compose exec db bash, and let's do a tail -f of var log. What did I have it as? It was var log mysql, and it was slow. Nope, it was mysql slow query log. Yeah, so that's still empty. That's still empty. Cool. That's no problem, John. No problem. I'm learning as I go through this, and you know, I should say that anything I say, please don't take as gospel, because I am this is my 3rd evening working on this. So, and I'm learning and I'm relearning, and I mean, yesterday I learned scenarios which are in here, and I still don't think this is configured 100% correctly. Like I discovered earlier that what was it on the terminal? There was a grace period of like 30 seconds. Did I see that? I'm sure I saw it somewhere. Let me scroll up to, that's the docker bit. Here we go. Yeah, graceful stop of 30 seconds. Let me just see what that means. Because I don't know. Let's get into the case 6 documentation. K6.io is the place to be. Click on document. Their documentation is really nice. So let's do graceful stop. Here we go. So prior to blah blah blah, K6 was would interrupt any iterations in progress when the test duration was reached or when scaling down virtual units. With the stages option. Okay. In some cases, this would lead to skewed metrics and unexpected test results. Starting with 0270, this behavior can be controlled through the graceful stop and graceful ramp down options. Okay, fine. This option is available for all executors except for the externally controlled executor. I don't know what that means yet, and allows the user to specify a duration to wait before interrupting them. Right. So prior to 270, K6 would interrupt any iterations in progress when the test duration was reached. Right, so when the duration hit 15 minutes, as we've got, if there was one already running, it would just cancel that out, right, I suppose. But the graceful stop and the graceful ramp down, again, I need to work out what the difference of those are, allows you to put in a buffer. I think that's right. I'm right in saying that. That's sort of a buffer. I'm learning this as we go. So, okay. So we have a scenario here. We've got contacts. We're using the constant view, constant virtual users, which I'm using. They've got 100. Their duration is 10 seconds and their graceful stop period is 3. So running this script will result in something like this. So running 13 seconds because, whoops, sorry, silly me. Running 13 seconds because what we're doing here is we're running 10 seconds and a graceful stop of 3 seconds. So they've ran all of their virtual units. 349 were complete and 23 were interrupted. Okay, so maybe the interrupted has nothing to do with the maybe the interrupted ones have nothing to do with the request timeouts. Maybe this is just when they hit the duration. Okay, notice that even though the total test duration is 10 seconds, the actual execution time is 13 because of the graceful stop, giving the virtual units 3 seconds additional time to complete the iterations in progress. 23 of the iterations currently in progress did not complete within this window and therefore were interrupted. Now that's starting to make sense to me. Okay, so this is the ramping thing. So a similar option exists for ramping virtual units. Okay, graceful ramp down. So when we're using the ramping virtual units rather than the constant virtual units, which is the different type of executor, then you would use the graceful ramp down. This specifies the time K6 should wait for any iterations in progress to finish before virtual units are returned to their global pool during the ramp down period defined in stages. Okay, I haven't used the ramping virtual units yet. These virtual units, sorry, my mouse is going nuts, are defined in here. These are the different, sorry, these are the executors that you can use. So they're talking about the ramping virtual units. I'm using the constant virtual units. So this is a fixed number of virtual units, a fixed number of VUs, execute as many iterations as possible for the specified amount of time. Yeah, so what I've got going on here is I've got 10 virtual units looping, so 10 looping virtual units for 15 minutes. And what's happening is that we have the start time is 31 minutes and we got the graceful stop of 30 seconds. Yeah. So if we get to this bit here, okay, we're nearly there. So this will be a nice little comparison to compare the terms of service and the homepage to see the speed. So what I'm doing essentially here is testing the load. I'm testing the load. So I know that if it's in development mode, which will never be on production. Otherwise I will fire myself. But I know that if 10 users were constantly, if the site was being hit 10 times constant, no, that's not wrong. If in a 15-minute period there were 395 requests, there we go, to both these pages, then I would be expecting something like this in terms of response time. Because request duration time, not response time. Request duration time. That's the mean of it. And I said that we can save this. So if I click on Save Dashboard here, it's this huge JSON thing. And what I do is I would copy that to the clipboard, and I would run that into... Is it in here? Yeah, in here. I would just paste it into there, and then when I did the Docker Compose up, what would happen is that would be pushed in to the volume here using the bind mount. Sorry, I'm losing my words. What I need to do, what I've just realized I haven't done, is I haven't created a volume for InfluxDB. So I've created a storage for Grafana, which is fine, because it's just storing configuration stuff that I want persisted. But I need to persist the InfluxDB. If I was to stop this container, if I was to stop and if I was to restart this container, then the data that I just captured would be lost. So it's a good job my computer didn't die overnight. So yeah, that's what I must put in. How are we getting on with this? Okay, that's done. We're now on to the next one. You can see it's now moving down. You see that arrow down there? So let's have a little comparison, shall we? If we go over to this, I'm going to refresh the page. I don't think you need to. This here is the amount of time it refreshes. I've got this set to 30 minutes because obviously I was running it for quite a long time last night. But you can set this to refresh for 5 seconds, and we can do a force refresh now if you want. Anyway, let's just compare these two. I'm going to bring this out to there, and then so that's the home page, and I'm going to drag this one up to say here, and I'm going to just drag that down there. You can see that popping up now because we're refreshing every 5 seconds. Can I drag that over there and then bring this out so we can see kind of how things have gone? So the top one's a home page, and the bottom one here is the terms of use page, which is like a terms and conditions page. This one's got a lot of images on, this one doesn't. This one has more database calls, this one doesn't have any. It's just a static page, so you can see that this is smaller. But for some reason it creeps up. But it's still incredibly slow. Yeah, so there's a lot of work I need to do. This is really important when you're trying to push. Let's bring that up. Let's knock that halfway. Can we put that up there? Is that possible? Nope. Can I drag that there? Can I bring that over there? No, I can't. Darn it. I like my pretty graphs. Let's drag that out to the middle, and then let's bring that back over to here. Drag that down into there. Now you can make as many dashboards as you want. And they don't always have to hit you can change that if you want. So like, let's go to the home page here, click on edit. So that was request duration, but we can change that to be any of these things. So for instance, I can see I'm gonna have to bring this down, sorry, because there is a bug in Grafana when you well, it's not a bug actually in Grafana. When this is too small, then you can't see the full drop down. But so we could do requests waiting. We could do blocked requests. We could do connecting requests. All sorts of things. So we got some failed requests. So these would be our request timeouts happening here. So we can see that there is, obviously I would need to change the left-hand side here because this is now based on, it's no longer time. Yeah, all sorts of various different things. Let's put it back to request duration. Cool. So what I think I'm going to do is just leave this running now. Oops, we've got some more timeouts. Yeah, we're now in courses. Courses is now here. Yeah, this is interesting. See, when I ran the laptop, I had none of this. So there's obviously a difference in, well, I'm streaming, so that's probably why. So it's not really a clean test, but I'm glad I got it running at the very least. What I'm going to do is let this run, save the data, do a little bit of tweaking with the PHP INI, and I am going to run this in production mode and see what happens when I cache the autoloader and optimize the autoloader and do various other things like that. But this is a slow process that's going to take a long time. This is why I wish I had a server spare in-house that I could just throw this on. Something to consider for a future purchase, like a how to code well server. I have the server rack and I've got the switches and all the various things and the cables and blah blah blah. I just need to get the hardware. Cool. It's a bit addictive watching all this. It's basically trying to chase each other. 481. I wonder what that's going to come out with. 6 interrupted iterations. Cool. Anyway, I'm going to need to shoot off now. I'll let this continue on. But thank you ever so much for watching me learn K6. I hope you've learned something as well. But do check it out. It's k6.io. I'm in no way, shape or form sponsored by this. It's a tool that I have used or have seen being used before, and I just thought, hey, we'll see it. My site's running a little slow, so let's see how slow it will run under load. And then we can get some benchmarks and stuff to work through. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everyone. I'll see you again on Thursday evening at 8 o'clock for the podcast. Take care. Happy coding. Bye-bye.